Hello everybody, welcome. Today we have a special episode totally focused on what's happening related to veterans and military families in Olympia, Washington's legislative session. It starts every year in January, and this year is a short session. It's 60 days, and we're in the thick of it right now. So of this short legislation session. This program isn't always going to talk about legislation, but it's important. It's one of the pillars of veteran advocacy is legislation. But we're in the thick of it now, like I said, and we're going to discuss about some of the laws and policies that are going to affect all of us here in Washington State, the 500,000 veterans, reserves, active duty families, and veterans. So today we appreciate hearing from Jerry Fugit and all he does to advocate for veterans and military families as part of his role as the chair of the Veterans Legislative Coalition. We already had his vice chair on the show, but today it's all about Jerry, giving us his own legislative report.
Good day, I'm Jerry Fugit, chairman of the Veterans Legislative Coalition, which is a body that advocates for veterans issues in the state of Washington. I'm a 25-year veteran of the United States Navy. One of the things I cherish was the fact I've been on every continent except Antarctica. Young people used to ask me which was my favorite place, and they all were because it was the people. And that's what I cherish, to be able to help people. I've been with the Veterans Legislative Coalition for about 12 years. I've been chairman for 8 years. And it's very rewarding to be able to help our comrades in arms. And the reason we do it, somebody did it for us, and we would not get the benefits in that if it wasn't for those that were before us. The VLC got started right about 1994, so it's been going for quite a while. We are advocates, we are not lobbyists, and that allows us a lot more lateral ability to be able to do things. We're not listed as a nonprofit or anything like that. We're out in the hinterland. But the legislators appreciate us because we are very, very nonpartisan. In the last 10 years, the VLC has been able to get 130 bills passed for veterans. Some of those bills were for education, suicide prevention, tax relief. We've been able to get compacts passed that allow the licensing of the spouse to be multi-state. And probably the two biggest trades professions that spouses are in are education and the medical fields. Presently, with the new laws and the compacts we have, 4 nurses where had their license was only good in one state, the state of Washington. Now it's good in 41 states. People say, well, that's a big deal, it happened something new. But my mother, who was an RN, came out here from North Dakota in 1941. A few days after she got here, she was working at Tacoma General as a RN. And the other one, a big trade or profession that a lot of our spouses are in, is in teaching. And we've just got a compact pass for teachers so that they can transfer into the state of Washington when this service member gets here, and the spouse can go to work as a teacher once they file the paperwork. And another one profession, a group of professions that were really needing help, and that's the dentals. Before, they were only good in the Washington state. Now they can get from other states, and dentists and that were really looking for people that they could work in their offices, and there was a shortage of it. Now, this really helped the dentists that are working. It also allows dentists to come in from out of state. One of the areas we're looking at that is important is we have members of our military who served in the global war on terror. We would like to see a memorial on the Capitol grounds area for the global war on terror. We have members of both sides of the aisle who are interested in that. It took them almost 50 years to finally recognize World War II. I don't know how long it took for them to get the Vietnam memorial put in, which is a beautiful memorial. But we need to honor those troops that gave their last full measure for our country. So if you would take the time, contact your state legislator and ask them to support the Global War on Terror Memorial. Another area of legislation, and it'll be a tough one to get through, but is property tax relief. Sometimes the financial portions of this limit who can get the property tax relief. A bill that one of the senators introduced would make property tax relief based totally on your VA disability, and you get a dollar amount credit toward your property tax. Because if you look back, if you like I retired 40 years ago, the amount what we earned wasn't all that much. And we may own our property outright, but it's extremely difficult to pay their property tax. So Senate Bill 5398 would be a good bill. It would help our veterans. There is no income level at all. It's totally on your percent of VA disability. And that disability credit starts at the 70 to 100% VA disability, and it goes all the way down to 20%. But for 70 to 100%, there is a credit that you could get up to $13,000 toward your property tax. Does you mean you would get the difference? No, you get if your taxes are $6,000, your taxes are paid, property tax are paid. The advantage of this bill also is when the service member passes, and as long as the spouse keeps the property in their name, that is passed to the spouse. This is a big help for our veterans. So please support that. Talk to your senators, talk to your representatives, and ask them if they would support a bill. We support the National Guard and that on their recruiting efforts, and they are in the military of one type, and to try and get them some of the benefits they should get. And some of those troops, they were in the military, got out, came into the National Guard. Get the education benefits they have, such as higher education. Because when times of national emergency, they are there. Employment of veterans is another issue. It's very important. And we see things for employing veterans and how they can go about getting them trained, giving tax credits to employers who hire a veteran. Another bill that was introduced this session by one of the senators who is retired from the triple nickel out at JBLM was we don't get a DD-214 until we get out of the service. But you can apply for a job to the state to get your point bet counts to help out getting hired. And what this new bill is to allow a commanding officer of a unit to write a letter that says the service member is getting out in a month and a half or 2 months or whatever, and will be getting a honorable discharge. And this will serve temporarily until they get their DD-214. Voting services. They're trying to make sure that we have the abilities to have our absentee ballots. There's a couple bills on voting, but we're very supportive of voting rights and making sure that people can get their absentee ballots. I wasn't the best student in school, but I went to college after I retired. But my family is educators, and on-base housing, on-base schools, there are schools run by the districts on base at like JBLM, and they need to redo these schools. There are two bills that have come before the legislators, one from the House, one from the Senate. In the House, it's 2470, and that's to help to rebuild the schools on posts like JBLM and the various areas. I know Whidbey Island had a school on their Naval Air Station. So there are schools and on that. So that's House Bill 2470, and they also have introduced a companion bill for that, and that is in the Senate, and I believe that is 6277. A companion bill gets the visibility, but on both sides of the legislators, both the House and the Senate, are working on the same bill, and all of a sudden it speeds up the process to make them all aware of these important things. And bills that have passed that a lot of times are companion bills, their success rate is far greater than if it's just introduced in one chamber. And I refer to them as chambers. So there are several bills that are they're double the bills, but then they will turn around and look at the two bills when it comes time to maybe they decide, well, the House bill will be the one we'll accept. The Senate then will look at it, see the differences, they'll iron it out and pass it through. A lot of times these bills take more than one session. So it's just something that continues on. When you look at the bills that the legislator looks at this session, because it's a short session, okay, so only 60 days, they're looking at 5,000 bills. And each bill has to go through 30-some steps. They miss one step and the bill is dead. And we are lucky to see 200 bills a year passed. Next session will be 7,000 bills. And so it takes a while. The nurses compact, the teachers, and those, they took 7 sessions. So it doesn't, and that's 7 years. So it doesn't happen just overnight. You just got to keep on plugging away, and you're like a bad penny. You keep on showing up. Another area this bill was passed last session that is critical is establishing service officers, especially in our rural counties in eastern Washington, when you have a person acting as a service officer and they're handicapped and they're doing 3 counties in the rural area. To get your VA disability, which is something you earned, this is earned money that you deserve to get, you need to have a service officer do your claim. DAV's got offices around that can take care of that. I have a very close friend who thought he could do it and worked at it for 7 years and had meticulous records. And he was messed with until a lawyer told him, go to the VA, Disabled American Veterans, to do your claim. He got a claim for 100%. That's money you earned. But let me give you a little flip side on that. Because of that money, you spend money in the economy. And when you look at multipliers, if you are getting that money, you're going to buy something. And when you buy something, you may get, let's say, like my friend, 100%, that's $4,000 a month, which when you add that up, it's a lot of money. So it's critical that you go through a service officer, but one of the senator or representatives pushed to get a pilot program for different counties to have county service officers who could file these claims so that our comrades in arms could get their earned benefits. Once a bill is passed by both chambers, then it is sent to the governor for the governor's signature. Probably the one thing that you would think the governor just signs bills because he almost generates them. No, he doesn't, because the House or Senate went through various committees, sometimes as high as 3 different committees before it goes to the floor for a vote. Then it goes to the other chamber and goes through the same steps. After all these people have signed off and approved it, it is sent to the governor. So when the governor signs a bill, he reads a little synopsis of what the bill is and signs it. But he doesn't have enough time to micromanage and read all these bills and that. So it's a very interesting process. But one of the things, whenever I go to a bill signing, I like to tell the governor, whoever it is, the veterans of Washington State want to thank you for your support and the support of the legislators to get this bill passed. If anything you can do, be involved, vote. I kid you not, your vote does count. And respect our legislators. Talk to them like you would like to be talked to, but they want your opinion. So find out who your state legislators are, both the House and the Senate, and talk to them. They're good people, both sides of the aisle.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast, and you can view all our episodes on the YouTube channel. You can find links to all the resources mentioned in our show notes and on our website, which is www.waveterans.org. So thanks to Jerry and all the members of the Legislative Coalition who are working hard on behalf of all veterans. So join us next time.